Added the functionality to add a job. Now we're going to look at deleting and editing. And before we do anything, we need to add links to be able to do that. So we're going to add them to the view. Okay, so you want to go to view and then jobs and then view. All right, now I'm just going to paste these in. Added a couple BR tags. Okay, now I'm using the HTML helper here to create a link. So this HTML link, the text will say edit. It's going to go to the edit action or the edit method, and then we're going to pass in the job ID. All right, and then this is going to use the form method to create a link, and that's going to be the delete link. It's going to go to the action delete. It's going to pass in the job ID, and then we're also just going to add an options array, which allows us to add this confirm message. Okay, so I really like how they allow you to do this all in very simple code. So let's save that. Now when we implement our user functionality, this is only going to be displayed if it's the user's job, if they posted it, because we don't want anyone to just be able to delete anything. Alright, so save that, and let's go to view. Okay, now we have edit and delete. If we click edit, we're missing the method. We haven't created that yet. So let's go. I really love how they just give you all this information. They actually show you what to do, what to write in your controller. Alright, so let's go to jobs controller, and this is going to be very similar to the add method, so I'm just going to copy this. Actually, this should be here. Oh, wait a minute. Huh, it's a little out of whack. I guess that's alright. Okay, copy that. Make sure you're still in the class. You still want to have a curly brace down there. Alright. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so let's change this to edit job. Change add to edit. Same thing, we want to be able to grab the categories and the types for our input boxes, so that's fine. Now this is going to take, edit's going to take an ID. And I'm going to add a little bit of code here before we actually test for the post. Just looking for an ID. If there's not one, we're going to throw a not found exception. Job, we're going to get the job by the ID, so find by ID. If there's no job, then we'll throw an error. Alright. And we still need to create our edit view, so inside of view/jobs, we want to create edit.ctp. And I'm going to paste it in. It's just like our add form. The only real difference is down here we have a hidden form. I'm sorry, a hidden input, and that's just going to send our ID. Alright, the job ID, and then we just have update job as the text in the form end. But everything else CakePHP should be able to deal with. So we'll save that. Also make sure that you save the controller, and one thing we want to change with this is we're not looking for a post, we're looking for put, which really means update. Okay, so if we're doing an update query, so first we want to put in job and then put. Alright, and we also want instead of doing this job create, we need to specify the ID that we want to update. So this, I'm going to say this job ID is equal to ID, which is what's going to be passed in up here. Okay, this is the same, the save. Let's change the message. Your job has been updated. And it's going to take us back to the index. And then here we'll say unable to update your job. Okay, so let's try that out. Okay, we're in the view. Let's click on edit. Alright, so it brings us to the edit page, but nothing's filled in. Let's go back to the controller. I think we just need to set the request data. So after this request is, let's say if not this request data. Okay, so if not, then we'll say this request data is equal to job. Alright, let's try that. There we go. Alright, so everything's entered, even the select fields are selected. So it's a perfect example of convention over configuration. We didn't do this. We didn't pre-fill these like we have with past projects. It's just automatically done just by adding this. So one reason why I really like Cake PHP. So that's all we need to do to display the form. Let's try changing something. Let's just say test job 123. Update. Let's see, did it update? No. It might have something to do with this here. We don't need this. Save user ID. Let's try it with that. Edit 1, 2, 3. Update. Still. Let's see if it's even going through. I just want to see if it's actually being submitted. Okay. Wow, it's actually not even going to. That's really weird. It's not being read by this. Oh, this is supposed to be an array. I need to put array around these, which is kind of confusing. Yeah, that's really confusing because up here we just have post, but I guess we want to say what object it is as well, not just the type. I don't know. Let's try that. Get rid of this die. Alright, so back to edit, test job 1, 2, 3, update. There we go. Your job has been updated, and you can see that it's been updated. Alright, good. So that's all set. Now we want to deal with deleting jobs. Delete a job. So public function delete, that should be passed an ID. This is actually really simple. I'm just going to paste this in. Okay, so we're seeing if there's a get, and then we're going to throw this method not allowed exception, and we're going to call this job delete, and then pass in the ID, set a message, and then redirect to the index, okay, the job index. So let's save that. go back to our job and click delete, and you can see that it asks us if we're sure. I didn't write this. This was included with cake. Alright, so we'll say OK. The job with ID 18 has been deleted. Okay, so that works flawlessly. So that's it. We're pretty much done with jobs. Next we'll move to the different user functionality. Alright, so now that we're done with the jobs functionality, we need to implement the user functionality. Alright, so first thing we need to do is create the user's controller. So we want to go to controller, new file, and you want to make sure that you name it users controller.php. Okay, so we're going to say class. Well, first we have to define our PHP tags. Class user controller, and it's going to extend app controller. Actually, it should be users. Alright. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to say public name is going to equal users. Alright, so we want to work on our registration first. So I want to create the view. If I go to view, I'm going to have to create a new folder here called users. Okay, and I'm going to create a new file called register.ctp. So test. And we need to create our function in the controller. Alright, so we've added register. Okay. So now we want to get our registration form from our HTML template. So I'm going to get from, actually, you know what? I'm going to use the form helper instead of the HTML. So let's go ahead and copy the jobs, the add form. Let me just close these out. Okay, and then I'm going to paste it in register, and we're going to replace this with user. The heading will say create an account. We'll have first name, last name. Remember, these should be the same as your database column name.